Aloha, I'm Lyla Berg. Mahalo for tuning in to Island Focus. Today's program is the first of a two-part series about the organizations who are addressing the needs of society. We're taping the show remotely so you can meet the people who are helping us fulfill our role in contributing to the well-being of Hawaii. Thank you for tuning in to Island Focus. Mahalo, Kalama. Can you share a little bit more about Berkshire Hathaway and the corporate philosophy that you have given the content of our program?
The last part of our mission statement, I think, is something that I'm passionate about. It says that, and we're going to improve everything and everyone that we touch. And that means the community that we're in, whether it's our clients, our customers, the people we work with, but the people we're next to every single day.
And what does that look like from your corporate perspective?
That's a very good question. One of the initiatives that we have is that we want to contribute $25,000 to IHS. And the reason why we chose IHS, because it assists and helps people that really are on the verge of homelessness. And we know how important and how big that issue of homelessness is in today's world. We happen to be in the business of residential real estate. So it certainly is part of our industry and it does affect our business. But more than anything, it affects all of us as individuals, not as people that work in the company, but individuals who see homelessness right there on the streets, and that how it can affect every single one of us every day when we're driving to work or we're walking down the street.
Well, then what I hear you saying is that relative to your company's profession, that it makes total sense to participate in a nonprofit organization that is actually trying to find a solution in that profession.
Oh, and absolutely. And the way that I look at it is, as a community member, as a good citizen, what the reason we're in a community is because the synergy makes all our lives better. The only way that that can work is if we help each other out. And here's just like a really small example. Sometimes you go to Starbucks and you pay for the person in back of you, and then they pay for the person in back of you. See, that's what our philosophy is to improve all that we touch. And so if we can do that at a higher level, and help out with IHS by not only contributing funds to them and offering our sales agents to contribute money from each of their commissions, but also to bring awareness to the people within our organization that homelessness is important and IHS is very important and our community is important.
Growing up in Hawaii, you had the values, I'm sure, of what you're talking about. What might you say to the viewing audience and to younger people who are just starting a profession, any profession?
I would say to younger people or young professionals that are starting out in their careers or even looking for a job, that whatever you do today will have an effect tomorrow. And so that means we can be so focused on getting that job. We can be so focused with our head down, working at our job. But remember to look up, remember to look around, and anyone you come in contact with, when you go outside for lunch and you see someone there, do something better for someone. And then when someone does ask you to contribute your time, your money to some nonprofit, whether it be IHS or any other nonprofit that's doing good, that remember, it's all about community, and what we do will sometimes, somewhere, make a difference in the future, not only for other people, but for yourself also.
And that's a very inspiring perspective, especially our younger generation. Young professionals, people coming into the field, are so concerned about sustaining themselves, surviving. And not just our professionals, but the whole community is into survival. What might you say relative to things you've done as your company or individually?
One interesting that we've looked at over the years, as you probably hear all the time, that we see people moving out of Hawaii. We see people that can't find a place to live because rents go up, the price of homes in paradise are going up. So we've been studying affordability and looking at the affordability index, and then looks at the median income that people are earning compared to what interest rates are and housing prices, where are we and how much we can afford. And it's been dwindling and going down and down and down because of the price of housing for a bunch of reasons. But we've been putting it out there to everyone that needs to change, so we can make sure that we don't continue to have this issue with homelessness increase and be even more prevalent by creating awareness where it's not only hard to afford a home, it's hard to afford a place to live.
And, that contribution alone helps to clarify what affordability means.
It does. And we hear it all the time. Prices are so expensive, but it's relative to a few things. It's relative to income, because hopefully income will continue to go up. And it's relative to mortgage interest rates, because let's face it, we got to get a loan to buy a house in Hawaii. And as those change, affordability changes. If we had more homes to sell, if we had more partnerships between corporation, public, and the community, then we can create more supply to create more affordability. And this affordability index is just the start in that direction.
You've helped us understand what some of the underlying conditions are. We look at the symptoms, and we're trying to fix the symptoms. As we wrap up our conversation, can you enlighten us a little bit more from your perspective? What are some of the other considerations that are foundations for the conditions we are experiencing?
The world has changed over the last few years. There's also a symptom of our community where maybe people are not engaged with each other anymore. Maybe people are divided. And I think that has to change too, to find solutions within our community, because a community means people coming together. When we're divided apart, it's harder to make that happen. So one of the ways we can come together are through nonprofits that do good, because it shows that we're not doing it for our self-interest, we're doing it for everyone else at the same time.
I'm very inspired by what you're saying. Some closing words for our viewing audience.
As someone that lives on the island, even if it's someone that transplanted to Hawaii, individually we have a responsibility to ourselves and a responsibility to others. So the actions that we take and giving back means a big difference. As a company or corporation, if we have the opportunity to also give back in that same way, it's going to help our business, it's going to help where we live, and it's going to help our life.
And really, as I hear you saying, is as we help others, we help ourselves.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and helping us to understand more, not only how we can contribute, but also that we are Hawaii, and Aloha is who we are.
Thank you, Lyla. I really appreciate it.
We've just met Kalama Kim, President of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. Thank you so much for joining us, Sandy. Representing the Rotary Clubs of Hawaii is a huge responsibility. Given the societal conditions right now, how does Rotary fit in to address the needs?
Lyla, thank you for inviting me. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you, and aloha. And during these times, and we've been going through some really challenging times, this has been an exciting time to be in Rotary and to be a Rotarian, because we're a global network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers. And I think in Rotary, we see the world as a place where people unite and can take action to create lasting change together across the globe, in our own communities, and even in ourselves.
That's a very big task, or a very big vision. How does Rotary do it?
Our primary focus really is to promote peace in the world. We fight disease. In fact, we're the organization, we have almost eradicated polio. We are down to 2 countries, and we just keep getting so close. We also focus on providing clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, saving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, And then our most recent area of focus that was added just this last year is to protect the environment, which is something that is so important to us here in Hawaii.
With so many areas of focus that Rotary has, what are some examples of projects in Hawaii that are particularly memorable to you?
There was one in particular that stands out in my mind this year, right? And that is in response to a call to action that we called Together, Let's Serve Our Healthcare Heroes with Aloha. District 5000, our Rotary clubs here in Hawaii, provided a tremendous and immediate response. And this was in response to the recognition that when the second wave of the big tidal wave of COVID hit, our amazing healthcare workers had already gone through so much. They went above and beyond their call for duty, their dedication to serve and to save lives, all of our lives, and to protect us during the COVID-19 pandemic. It really impacted our healthcare workers mentally, emotionally, physically, and we saw our healthcare workers suffering from exhaustion, extreme burnout, job resignation, and unfortunately, even some suicides. So Rotary quickly responded to that call for action with enthusiasm and a lot of determination on each island and within each community with simple, heartfelt gestures of aloha and mahalo. They adopted hospitals on each one of our islands, and they provided them with aloha gifts, baskets of snacks and goodies that workers could just grab on the go because so many of them didn't even have time to take breaks. Gift cards to pick up a cup of coffee after their long double shifts. And we had hundreds of mahalo cards were written and sent by our keiki, our high school, our middle school, interact clubs, and even our Rotaractors, who are our young professionals and college students. So across the state, we quickly responded, I think in response to a great need that we had here in our local community.
So what I hear you saying that is, in addition to solving problems that are concrete, we also open up our hearts. Rotary opens up their hearts to not only have compassion, but actually go to the place that people need to feel that they are cared about.
I think it's that aloha spirit that we have that is part of the healing process whenever we engage, whenever we have issues, whenever there are social problems or just community needs that need to be addressed. For us here in Hawaii, it's that serving with aloha and that aloha spirit that is so important in all that we do.
Well, as we wrap up our conversation for today, what thoughts can you share with us relative to not just Rotary's role, but also how we might support Rotary, support businesses?
I welcome everybody to join us in Rotary. Yeah, we have 1.4 million people around the globe, and I think that's one thing that makes us unique, right? Because we represent so many different occupations, so many different countries, so many individuals that we're able to come together and address different needs with a different perspective. And so I really do welcome anyone who has a passion for service to come and join us in Rotary. And just go to rotaryd5000.org and you'll get the instructions right there of how to become part of the Rotary Ohana.
You know, I was reading recently about Rotary taking a stand against the aggression in the world, and peace being not only a goal and a pillar, but a way of life. And I'm hearing that from you, is that we can expect that of Rotary.
I think everything that we work toward, it's really our mission toward trying to achieve peace in the world. In whatever venue, whatever avenue that we choose to take, it's about finding ways to create peace at the personal level, at the social level, at the local level, and at the global level.
Thank you very much for inspiring us and for taking the time to plant the seeds of what's possible for us as well.
Thank you, Lyla. Mahalo.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Sandy Matsui, District Governor for Rotary Clubs in Hawaii. Thank you very much, John. Your perspective at Aloha United Way is so helpful in understanding the landscape of Hawaii. Can you share with us where we are and what you're doing?
You know, people have asked me for the last year and a half, what's a normal day like at AUW? And my response, Lyla, is I don't know, because I haven't been here when things have been normal, like many people over the last couple of years. But we've gone through rent relief. We've gone through many, many phone calls. Our 211 lines have exploded, as you can imagine, over the last couple of years. And now we're really trying to get back, as we hopefully open up, into just servicing our agencies and the people of Hawaii through all the many areas that we touch and that we are involved in. We are conveners, we are communicators, we are funders. There are a lot of different hats that AUW wears. Some of those were kind of put on the side because of the desperate nature and the urgency of what was going on during COVID. But you asked me where we're going now. One of the things I think we really need to look at closely as a society is PTSD and the mental health of people going forward. You know, when I talk about trauma and issues, if I asked everybody in this state, what do you think would be a cataclysmic event for Hawaii? They all would have said tsunami, earthquake, or hurricane. And the thing with all three of those is they would have been events that we might have seen coming, but couldn't have done much about. But the day after they happened, we would have started rebuilding because that's what we do. We haven't been able to do that with this one yet. And when you get, when you're in a war zone, so to speak, for almost 2 years, that's taken its toll on people. It's taken its toll on our keiki. It's taken its toll on our kupuna. I think one of the things we're going to have to deal with in general, aside from all the financial issues, is just making sure people mental health gets dealt with appropriately and they get opportunities to vent or recover appropriately, however they need to.
And as we look at that and confront it, actually, there's always financial issues.
Not everybody's back at work. Not everybody has been able to recover. And let's remember, there were a number of people that could handle the rent issues they had with rent relief, which was wonderful and helped them get through. Right above that group were the people who maybe didn't qualify for rent relief and had to dig deep. And either they got help from family members or friends or their savings account, or God forbid, their 401k, and that money doesn't get replaced. And if you're in your 30s and 40s and you start taking money from your 401k or even your savings account, 20 years from now, when you look toward retirement, that's a bigger chunk of money that you're not going to have to live on. So the ripple effect of what that might do to some people is going to be exponential in terms of over the years to come. So I think we're starting to talk about getting back to normal, but there have been chunks of people that are still going to be impacted by what this has done to them financially. On the other hand, a lot of people have learned that they can work and live in a hybrid world. And I think that will have some benefits to our keiki when mom or dad is around more often, because they can work from home and be there to pick them up, and people don't have the cost of childcare because one of the parents is working out of the house. So there are some positive things we've learned from this, both locally and universally, that I think will be a major change in how we view work in the workplace, and also making sure we take care of ourselves and have, as we call it, a holistic life of not just work is taking up all my time, because that's not good. We need to have that balance, and this might have tipped the scale in favor of making sure that people stay healthy in all different ways.
Well, and then there's the conversation of, oh, we don't have enough money. Maybe you could speak to that, because I believe there's lots of money.
There's more money than anybody anticipated, because we obviously have the ARPA and CARES money from the feds that can be used to solve a lot of problems now. And we also have apparently $1 billion more than we thought we'd have, because tourism came back better, and we have that in taxes and stuff. So the answer is not to go put all of that money away. And I grant you some of it should probably be put away, but we need to take care of what needs to be taken care of now to help people out, to make sure they get on their feet. And then, you know, they need to be responsible for continuing to move forward and do what they can. But we need to take care like we've never possibly taken care of before. And this opportunity is not going to come our way again. So the fact that we have this money now and it's not coming directly out of our coffers or our expectations, I would expect that we will see some really positive moves as it works toward taking care of those in need from the social services side during this legislative session. I'm optimistic about that.
So this program is really talking about ways in which the community can participate, volunteer organizations, much like yours as well. again, from a financial perspective, what can we do as a community people to encourage the use of existing money?
I think it's incumbent upon everybody to contact their legislators and their representatives at all different levels and make sure they understand that these are human beings we're talking about and not numbers on a spreadsheet. These are not just statistics. These are our neighbors, our friends, and our family. And as our ALICE program pointed out in January of 2020, when the last research was done, 595,000 people in this state at that time were 1 or 2 paychecks away from being in financial straits, dire financial straits. A refrigerator breaking down, a medical emergency that wasn't covered, a car not working. Now extrapolate to the year 2022 and even into 2023, we will be doing more research. We estimate over 700,000 people are in that situation right now. Hardworking, 2-income families, busting their butts to make things work, Lyla, but they're close and can't get ahead because the 2 or 3% raises just cover the cost of living. We need to make sure that those people are helped as best they can be helped now with some of this surplus money so that we don't fall down. We estimate the ALICE number is now 700,000. That's 1 out of every 2 people who live in the state of Hawaii. That's a huge number.
So as we wrap up our conversation for today, and we're talking about taking care of people financially, emotionally, socially, what can we really do as an individual besides connect with our legislators and work with you?
There are plenty of ways that people can volunteer. They can go to the auw.org site, and we have ways of volunteering. They can call up a charity or a nonprofit that they are attached to or close to and go, what can I do? And now that we're able to get out and socialize more often, and it may not be next week, but maybe in the next few months, there are ways people can help beyond just the financial means. It could be just talking to people. It could be going down to the Waikiki Community Center to hug a kapuna and help them out as they come out of not having had their hula and bingo for 2 years. Nobody could get together. Those are huge issues, and people should know that it's not just money we're talking about from the day-to-day operations of people and what they can do to help out. They can go to the websites and look or make a phone call and go and give back. And giving back helps you as much as it helps the people you're given to.
And really what I hear you saying is that the aloha that spirit that we grew up with and that we know still exists, we need to express it and not be afraid to hug somebody again.
I can't think of a better place that is already prepared based on its normal culture and ethics than Hawaii to be able to come out of this thing and make sure we're taking care of people again. It shouldn't be too much of a stretch, but we definitely need help on the financial side to make sure that some of these dreams and goals can be realized.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your passion and energy and giving us some ideas on what we can do individually and to call our legislators to make sure that money goes to where it should go.
Thank you for having me.
You've just had the opportunity to meet John Fink, President and CEO of Aloha United Way. Thank you for joining us today on Island Focus. I'm Lyla Berg. Take care of yourselves and let's work together to make our island home a place where everyone feels cared for and safe. On behalf of the Island Focus crew and the entire staff at Ōlelo Community Media, aloha and malamakona. See you soon.